Hades is perhaps the most misunderstood of all the trans-Neptunians because many only think of its dark negative meaning. It's symbolized by the crescent moon with the open hand or the hanging cross, indicating emotional and spiritual concern, but also often weighty emotional issues. The moon here reminds us that emotions can cause big problems and dis-ease if we don't work with them constructively. Now, in Greek mythology, Hades ruled the underworld of the dead. It was that dark, dank place where people wandered around aimlessly in this gray shade, living uninteresting lives. And so it's understandable that the Greeks really kept Hades at arm's length, because to know Hades not only meant that you were dead, but it also meant that getting close to things that you really just didn't want to take a look at, you really didn't want to see. And so this is where Hades seems to occupy a definitive place in our lives. What I have found is that Hades often operates in primal ways. That is, situations that have originated in our early lives or somewhere in the past. And we carry on into adulthood. Particular deep fears, anxieties, depressions, sadness, losses. But it's also in their resolution where some part of us on the emotional, spiritual, physical level must break down so that a new awareness and growth can take place. And there's often a manifestation on the physical level, and very often Hades deals with the gut. Or ignoring the gut, as the case may be, which can cause some physical encumbrances. So some of the traditional Hades keywords are matters of decay, unpleasantries, sinister, the criminal, deeply buried things, dirt, garbage, and in its positive, antiques, antiquities, the occult and the esoteric. Excavations, and certainly all of the helping professions. It's very common to see a strong Hades in the charts of doctors and therapists because they're working with people who need their help in some way. So in the spiritual, emotional realm, Hades is that kind of darkness that we all may feel from time to time, where there's a hopelessness or a despair, where there seems to be no other options, where the power of Hades over us feels like it's absolute. But again, it's also in the resolution of these issues that is what drives some of the beautiful and powerful healing energy of Hades. So let's take a look at a couple different charts of some people of interest and see Hades in different manifestations. Frida Kahlo was a Mexican painter best known for her self-portraits. She painted in a style combining realism, symbolism, and surrealism. Now, this is a great example of Hades manifested and channeled into the creative artistic realm. And if we look at her chart, you can see immediately that Hades is really front and center and touches on very sensitive points in her chart. Here we have this cross aspect, or these 4 equal sections, which Hades is a part of, and it's a 22.5 degree aspect to her meridian and her ascendant. So the Hades makes a huge impact in her chart. Now, she suffered lifelong health problems, and many of which were a result of a traffic accident at the age of 18. And in the recovering from her injuries, she was isolated for long periods of time. And it was through this isolation that much of her painting was influenced. She was also known for her volatile relationships, in particular to the artist Diego Rivera. And so her paintings express much of her physical pain and emotional suffering through their symbolism. Again, great display and channeling of the Hades energy.
When I stand on the mountain and I say, do it, it gets done. If it don't get done, then I'll move on it. And that's the last thing in the world you want me to do.
Charles Manson is an American criminal who led what became known as the Manson family, a quasi-commune that arose in California in the late 60s. Now, Manson was found guilty of the conspiracy to commit the murders of 7 people, but perhaps what he's best known for is the pop culture that arose around him, in which he became an emblem of insanity, an emblem of violence and the macabre. Manson believed in what he called helter-skelter, a term he took from a song by the Beatles, in which he believed there to be an impending apocalyptic race war. And he believed his murders would help precipitate that war. So when we go to the chart and we go to the meridian, and remember the meridian is like a snapshot of the soul, right off the bat you see this strong Uranus Hades, and they're in a chart where there's nothing softening a Uranus Hades. What you get is a classic anger aspect, because that Uranus is like electrifying the Hades energy. And not only that, when there's nothing softening it, what you'll get is someone where there's something off in their character, where you're not getting the highest character. And what's even strengthening that even more, the anger, the dysfunction in character, is this Mars Vulcanus making this 3-point picture. And then what happens with the Neptune, you get a highly charismatic individual. The other thing that's playing in is this Jupiter-Poseidon aspect, which gives him an even more prophetic type of nature. Positively manifested, it would be someone with a lot of wisdom or instinct, but I don't think that's how it's operating here. The other interesting thing is that when we go to the moon, right off, and remember the moon is the emotional nature, it also represents the mother in the early life. You're getting that cross aspect, again, the 22.5-degree picture, and Hades is right on that point. So he didn't have a really, really great beginning combined with a not great character. And the mother was actually also an alcoholic as well as a prostitute and had him when she was very young. So that's a good example of Hades in negative manifestation. And finally, we're going to take a look at the chart of Oprah Winfrey. And if we go to her chart and we go to the midpoint Sun Meridian. Now, Sun Meridian in Uranian astrology is one of the most important midpoint structures in terms of career, because it's really a blending of the Sun, which is our ego drive, what we really want to radiate, and our meridian, which is our soul's essence, a snapshot of our individuality. And so when they blend together, there is a real awareness of one's mission in life. There's a striving for an aim or objective. Now, around this very important midpoint structure, what we're getting is Neptune Hades. And Neptune Hades midpoint around the Sun Meridian is one of the main midpoint structures of someone who is very humanitarian, and it definitely reinforces the helping profession. So there you have it, 3 examples of Hades in manifestation. If you enjoyed learning about Hades and want to find out where it's located in your own natal birth chart, just go to my website, theuranianastrologer.com, and select the tab, The Trans-Neptunians, where you'll find directions on how to obtain a free Western style or traditional chart with all the Trans-Neptunians in it. And to take a video tour of the 7 other Trans-Neptunians, you can visit me at YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Twitter, or visit my website, theuranianastrologer.com.